Now this is so goddamn rich, it must be cheesecake. If you haven't heard by now, Joss Whedon, the male feminist and director, you might have heard of some of his stuff like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Dollhouse, as well as Firefly, which is my favorite. I'm not a fan of Joss Whedon. I honestly always thought his shows were shit, with the exception of Firefly. I do think he's a good director though. But seriously, this is not to take joy in somebody else's misery, but really, this is goddamn beautiful. I mean, this just goes to show you about the whole thing with male feminists and just what cunts they really are. It just shows that really he was just using feminism to get pussy, and he's nothing more than just another asshole. It's beautiful. Now, another thing I can't stand is the Mary Sue, because the Mary Sue is complete bullshit. And the reason why the Mary Sue is such trash is because of Sandy Beaches. Now, if you haven't heard about the whole Sandy Beaches incident, let me enlighten you. Now, Sandy Beaches was a pen name for a former Gamergate journalist. His name is Mark Ancusick, and I will put a link to this blog post where he talks about what he learned being a feminist critic, Sandy Beaches. So what Mark did is he wrote a couple of articles. One was about Warhammer, and he was talking about sexism in the game, which doesn't exist. And in his Medium post, he talks about basically how the Mary Sue was eating it up, and they wanted more. So that's why I think the Mary Sue is complete garbage. So take anything with that website with a grain of salt. Fuck it. Take it with a salt lick. Growing up, I didn't read Thor, so I don't have that much of an attachment to the character. So when Lady Thor was announced, I didn't flip my shit like a lot of people did. I didn't care. I thought it was kind of interesting. But I guess over time, I kind of came to the realization that this character really is boring as fuck. And I kind of want Odin's son back. I want him to be the real Thor again. Now, I like Jason Aaron. I liked the run he had on Thor God of Thunder. And so when Lady Thor took over, I didn't have much of a problem with the change. However, I did have problems with the name being used. Because first off, Thor is not a mantle, it's a person's name. And I know everyone's used this analogy. It's like Sam Wilson calling himself Steve Rogers once he became Captain America. That didn't set well with me. And there were a few other issues that over time I started thinking about. I was like, that didn't make much sense. The first one, how does a woman with cancer get to the moon to get the hammer? And what makes her worthy enough to wield the hammer? And these are questions we never really got answers to because, well, we all know the reason why they changed, Jane Foster to Thor. Diversity. Diversity is not a bad thing. It is good. The reality is, they wanted to have a Thor title without the actual Thor. So the only way they could pull this off is by calling her Thor. Because Mantle. Yeah, I gave it a chance. I drank New Coke. I didn't like it. I want the original formula back. Okay, so you're not here to listen to me ramble. You're here for a review, so let's get started. Starting with this cover, is it a good cover? I think it's good artwork. I don't know if it's a good cover, though. I mean, I don't know who the character is. I thought maybe it was Hel, because Hel's in the next movie. Turns out it's not. It's Cinder. And then you have Lady Thor, and then some other dude, which turns out to be War Thor. And they're not very prominent in the artwork. And this is supposed to be her book. So moving right along, you get a lot of exposition here. And this is the problem with the book. There is a lot of exposition. So we're introduced to Cinder. We kind of get her background here. And we're getting a lot of tell, don't show. It should be show, don't tell. And you have Loki and Malekith. Now, Malekith got reintroduced in Thor God of Thunder. You have this war that's been going on for a very long time. I want to say it's spanning at least 2 volumes of books here. I think it started in Thor, Maybe it was introduced in this book. I don't know. But anyway, we have 22 issues later, and the thing's still freaking going on. Now, even with Doctor Strange and the Last Days of Magic, that story only went on for 5 issues, which for the most part is like half a year's time in real time, or, minus 1 month. But this has been going on for 22 freaking months. Holy crap. Move on, for God's sake. These 2 pages could have been cut out of this book, and nothing would have changed. You could have given a little bit more explanation as to why War Thor is here. And, I mean, you get a little bit of it, but not enough. So War Thor shows up. He's angry because apparently a bunch of kids got killed. I mean, that's fair. He has the ultimate Thor's hammer. And this fight breaks out between Cinder and War Thor. And again, I have problems with the whole thing with Thor being a mantle here with War Thor. Ever since you had Secret Wars 2, you had the Thors, and they were basically Doom's henchmen. I think is where they just tried to really push this whole Thor being a mantle thing. It's their justification, and it's crap. I wouldn't even say it worked for Secret Wars. I mean, I hated Secret Wars. Now, this fight seems very one-sided between War Thor and Cinder. There aren't... I don't feel like there's any stakes here. I mean, I think you should have had some really good blows on both sides, but it just seems like she's just kicking the shit out of him. And again, it's like, I don't care. I like the art on this page. I did not realize when I initially read it that those were supposed to be sharks. And what ends up happening is Cinder ends up stabbing him, and this is like the only wound he has. Now, I understand that he is a superhero, and that they are a little bit more resilient, but I would have expected that he would have taken a lot more damage from the lava previously. And then at the very bottom, you have, what do you have to say to that little Thor? And then off screen, we get, that isn't Thor. And neither are you. Wah wah. Though I suppose some would tell you that neither am I. So what we get is a Deus Ex Machina here, again, because there are no stakes. And then she proceeds to One Punch Man Cinder. I do like this art on this page, though. It is pretty good. And I do like War Thor's dialogue in this page. The fury of a dead universe rages within Mjolnir, and with it, I will smite the entire realm into oblivion. I like that. That's actually some good dialogue. And then Mjolnir transports them to this place called the Yawning Void. I do like the artwork on this page. I think the clouds are pretty cool. And I do like the layout of these 3 panels here. So the reason why Mjolnir transports them to the Yawning Void is basically to prevent War Thor from destroying the realm. Because there are some innocents there. And Lady Thor is trying to prevent a genocide. I mean, fair enough, alright. The book really didn't need Lady Thor in it, even though it's her own book. And you could have had it just be about War Thor dealing with Cinder. Or you could have had Lady Thor showing up to stop War Thor from destroying the realm and have your conflict revolve around that. Again, there are no real stakes involved. And then it ends with the 2 of them getting ready to battle it out. And that's it. I do like the poses here. I do like the artwork. But overall, it's okay. So what is good about it? What good thing? Why do I like this? Why do I not like it? Well, the first thing I can tell you, the reason why I don't like it, is kind of the things I've been covering. There's a lack of stakes. You have a Deus Ex Machina. He's not as wounded as he should be. There really is this kind of it's meh. It's meh. And if I had to give it a rating, I'd give it a 4. I'm more disappointed with this book than I previously realized. And it comes down to the fact that there really isn't much to Lady Thor. I mean, Jane Foster has cancer, and that's really it. What else can I tell you about her character? I don't know. She has a hammer. What makes her worthy? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't think anyone can really explain to you why Jane Foster is worthy. And the reasons why Thor, the real Thor, is not worthy It's really freaking stupid. And Marvel could have done something a lot better, because if you read Unworthy Thor, what happens is you find out that Nick Fury told him, and this is a spoiler warning here, that the gods are simply not worthy. That is fucking boring, man. I mean, you could have had it where when Nick Fury whispered into his ear, "You're a Skrull. You're not the real Thor." Holy shit! I mean, that's like a fucking mind-blowing thing right there. I mean, that would have been a good story. You find out that Thor hasn't been Thor for God knows how long. He's been a Skrull imposter the entire time. And maybe he's been dead. I don't know. Anything would have been better than what we got now. So, let me know what you think. What do you think of this book? What do you think of Lady Thor? Leave the comments. And if you like this video, click that like button. If you can tolerate the sound of my voice, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, enjoy your reads.